Hey, everybody, this is Justin Chamness, realestatewholesalerclub.com, where we're all about helping you get to that first deal paycheck, that shut up money changes your psychology. I've got a real treat for us today, everybody. If you want to join us here for this treat in the Zoom room, you can do that. You can visit us at http colon all that stuff, right? Then www.zoomjustin.com. I think you can just put zoomjustin.com in there and it'll work. But some people have said, hey, I don't know why I couldn't get it to work without the http. Come in here and be my guest, okay? I want you to enjoy today. I want you to feel free to ask your questions. I want you to feel free to get to know me and the guest today. And I have a real special guest for us today. Michael Batista connected us with Joe Evangelisti. And this guy here has a very interesting story. But not only that, I've heard him referred to as the Millionaire Maker. Joe, is you don't deny that, do you?
I've made a few millionaires. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever heard that moniker, but I'll take it.
Really?
Yeah.
I've heard it about you. Okay, so
I'll take it.
That's cool. Well, good. It's been a good show so far then. Okay, so one of the things that I saw on your website, Joe, and I'll let you introduce yourself more, and you can jump into a little bit of your story if you want to, but you said on your website, which is joeevangelisti.com, by the way, everybody, that you help business owners exploit their own greatness. I thought that was worded so purposefully, it sounded like.
Yeah.
So can you take us there? Because I think that's us.
Yeah, no, I think, listen, first of all, Justin, thanks for having me on this morning.
Yeah.
I think that exploit your own greatness it's a powerful statement, because the fact is that every one of us has greatness within us, right? My buddy Matt Larson put this up the other day, that there's a genius within each person. There's genius within each one of us, right? I think it's really impactful that we get to figure out what our genius is while we're here on this earth, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're focused right now on your genius, right? Sometimes we're unhappy in the state that we're in because we're not in alignment with what it is that we're meant to be doing. Yeah. We're not in alignment with what it is that we're here for. We're working that 9 to 5, or we're doing that thing that doesn't really put us in the zone of genius that we're supposed to be, that we're meant to do. And so there is genius in every single one of us. You are perfect the way you are. You have the ability to do massive things the way you were built. God put you here for a reason. Finding that reason and exploiting that genius is a whole nother trick.
Yeah. And that's what we're here to do, man. And so I'm like, I don't know what bated breath, like I'm just like waiting. Like I know you're going to drop some serious gold nuggets today and some serious bombs, but I also want you to give us a little introduction, a little backstory as to who Joe is, just so we can have some perspective and basis foundation for what you're, for these bombs that I know you're going to drop.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'll give you a quick background on me as a person. I've been in construction my whole life. I grew up in a family of general contractors. My dad was a builder. My dad was actually a drywall contractor when I was a real young guy, and I used to walk around job sites when I was a 8, 9, 10-year-old and sweep and pick up drywall scraps and play around with mud and drywall mud, that kind of mud. So I've always been in construction my whole entire life. I grew up in the business, and I watched my dad build houses, and my parents were divorced. So I was with him on like nights and weekends, and I would, run job sites and, just like I said, sweep stuff up. And so it's in my blood construction wise. I've always been in construction. And right after high school, I got to combine like two of my favorite things. I've always had this passion to want to be a service to our country and join the military. Mm-hmm. And I found out late in high school that you could actually do military service and do construction. So I joined the U.S. Navy Seabees, which most people never even heard of, but they're actually the construction battalions of the U.S. Navy. And
wow.
So yeah, you can actually go in the Navy fly everywhere, never go on a boat, never go on a ship, build stuff. So I was a builder in the U.S. Navy for 6 years, flew all over the world, got to do all kinds of really interesting stuff, and did construction as a result, and learned a lot of advanced construction practices, learned how to do just about everything in the builder trade and carpentry trade, concrete, anything carpentry related from rough carpentry all the way to finish. And, then I catapulted that experience into the real estate industry and got into the real estate industry, arguably the worst time in the last probably 50 years in 2007, jumped in 2 feet, right?
Yeah, right before the explosion, right?
Yeah, it took, but I actually said it's lucky that I did, right? Because, I think if I got in 2, 3, 4 years earlier than that, I would have experienced a lot of that, unnatural, explosion in the market, and it might have been dangerous for my growth. We learned very early on how to pivot. We learned how to adapt and to make quick change. So first couple deals that we did, like I said, I did them wrong. I used my own money. I did them by hand. I did all the things that, they say not to do, but didn't know any better back then. HGTV wasn't that popular. People weren't flipping houses on cable. So took a bunch of my savings and bought the first 3 flips and expected to, triple my money, and ended up holding them. We got caught up in 2008 timeframe. Everything started to soften. We thought stuff would be worth 350, ended up being worth 250. And luckily we were able to pivot and hold the properties, and ended up using the BRR method without even knowing, again, that was a method back then, and, refinance and hold them on long-term. And actually just sold a couple of those properties last summer after holding on to them for 14 some odd years. And then quickly, started to adapt. Now, what do I got to do? Well, I got my real estate license. What do new investors do, right? Well, I'll get my license and I'll sell real estate, and I'll make commission to pay the bills. And, now I'm a landlord, so maybe I'll acquire some more deals. And, eventually we started flipping houses because the market softened and prices came down and sellers started to come down a little bit. And, we were able to adapt and rehab and flip on a small scale. And I woke up, 3, 4, 5 years into my journey, doing a lot of volume, but and I think a lot of people experience this. I had 2 little girls at home. I had a wife. I had three beautiful ladies, as I call them. They were in great health, and very grateful for them every single day. But I was stressed out, man. Like I was running in 10 different directions, and I get, my chest gets tight when I think about it. When I talk about it, I was just like overwhelmed. I was everything to everyone. I was spinning plates. I was a landlord. I was a realtor. I was a flipper. I'm stopping at Home Depot, picking out tile and paint colors. And I got toilets in the back of my Lexus and dropping them off at the property. And I'm writing checks to people, and, I'm managing schedules and trying to do everything.
All the things that you ever dreamed of doing.
All the things that I thought were cool, 2, 3 years before that.
Exactly.
And now I'm like, dude, I'm gonna have like a stroke. And here I am at that point where I'm like, I don't know, 32, 33, and managing tons of money and never have my hands on money. And I don't know if you've ever experienced that feeling. It's a terrible feeling.
It's scary.
It's scary. My tax returns say I'm making this, and I'm like, I don't have it. I don't know where it is. And I'm telling myself lies all the time, and I'm rationalizing, or what we call rational lies, which we can talk about in a minute. I'm telling myself rational lies about, this is good. This is what it's meant to be, right? This is how business is meant to be, right? Like this is what the gurus talk about, right? We make tons of money, but I'm just reinvesting. That's why I don't have it, right? I'm just putting it back in the next project. And I'm making money, but even when you're making money, you don't get to keep it, right? You just put it back in the next deal, and that's why you never have it. And so I was stressed out in 20 different directions. And what I caught myself doing was I caught myself chasing, right? I was just chasing constantly. I'll put more hours in. I'll chase that next deal. I'll miss that barbecue with my family on Saturday, and I'll chase that next thing. And I'll miss family dinners, and I'll chase that next thing. And I'll tell my wife I'm going to be home late, and I'll chase the to-do list until it's done. And I was just chasing and chasing and chasing, but I never caught anything.
Like chasing to exhaustion.
Yeah. And again, I think a lot of people still experience this, and I watch people do it. And, the reality of it is, on the back end of that, I started actually investing in myself. I hired actual
Mm.
coaches and mentors, and I started
Yeah.
saying to people like I asked better questions, really, like it's got to be easier than this, right? What if it were easy? How do I make this easier? What am I missing? How do I stop chasing, right? Not everyone chases, right? And I started to learn that the reality of it is you don't have to chase. And so I
Mm.
started developing these methods of how do I get what I want without chasing,
Yeah.
right? How do I experience a fulfilled life, be a great husband, be there for my kids, watch them grow up, have real money, right? How do I experience these things and not chase all the time? And that's what I developed for myself. I developed myself a system. I call it the 5 roads to victory, or basically the 5 roads to the 5 freedoms, which we can talk about in a couple minutes. But essentially that led me to now I run 4 different businesses. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I do it an hour a week. I could if I wanted to. I'm so passionate about it. I love it. I'm in it all day long. But reality of it is I have amazing teams that I love to work with. They're great people. I focus on culture. I focus on having winners by my side, and I focus on being a great leader and coaching them up so that they're not chasing, right? So that they're experiencing a fulfilled life.
Yeah.
And that balance creates opportunity for all of us. And so, like what you said earlier about, feeling that experience of fulfillment. I want that for everyone around me.
Yeah.
And that, I forget what that tagline is that you pulled off my website, but that's exactly what I want for my people, not just for myself.
Exploit business
Exploit
owners
their
that want
greatness.
to exploit their own greatness.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I think it just sounded so purposefully worded when I came across it. And I thought, well, it didn't say exploit other people's greatness, and there's probably a website somewhere that does say that, like
Yeah.
this, that will teach you how to exploit other people's greatness for your own benefit, but this is exploit your own, and I think that's really where that satisfaction and fulfillment comes from, and not the money.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be happy, right? Like everybody does. And that's really, you got to have money to do that, though, right?
Yeah.
uh, Interesting. I guess maybe I derailed us there, Joe. Sorry.
No, not at all. No, I mean, I think that, what you're trying to say is, and Earl Nightingale said this, he said that success is the worthy pursuit of a worthy ideal, or the pursuit of a worthy ideal or a goal. It doesn't have to be money, right? Maybe your worthy ideal or a goal is to be the best cake maker you can be, right?
Mm,
Or, your
yeah,
worthy ideal of a goal is to climb Mount Everest, right? When you
right.
get there, you're successful. That doesn't mean that it might take money to buy the equipment or, to buy the plane ticket, but ultimately, whatever that looks like for success for
Yeah.
you, that's success, right? That's exploiting your personal greatness. And too many of us get hung up on what's Justin working on? Oh man, that guy did a $50,000 wholesale deal. That's success. I have to do that. And
Exactly.
and the truth is, if your results and your purpose are not in alignment with what Justin's results and purpose are, it's not going to make you feel
Yeah.
successful when you get there. And you're going to have 10 times as hard a time getting there anyway. You
Yeah.
have to create an outcome that you're in alignment with. That's where it starts. And that's so many people go wrong.
I started being more successful when I made the decision to be happy, regardless of what I saw.
It's
I don't
powerful.
know, if other people have that same type of experience, but it was like I kept putting my happiness off until I did this or had this, or God, man, it never came.
It's powerful, man. It's very
Uh,
powerful.
well, Joe, you've had a, I don't know, gold medal career. I guess is maybe
Say
a way I could describe it.
that.
You've done. It looks to me like a little bit of most of everything in real estate, but you've done a lot of wholesaling, virtual wholesaling as well, which we are wildly interested in.
Yep.
Um, Not just ugly house stuff, but pretty house stuff too. I'm guessing. Is that right?
Yeah, we've actually found that some of the higher spreads and better deals come from the pretty houses. Believe it or not, I
Yeah.
find that people are afraid to tackle high price point houses because, again, it's just a mindset, folks. Right? It's you're trading paper, right? Let's be honest, Justin. I mean, you're in the wholesale game, right? You're not actually buying the property,
Right.
unless, of course, that's one of your strategies. And so, whether it's a house for 50 grand or it's 500 grand, if we focus on the opportunity to create a problem or a solution for the seller, then the price is irrelevant, right? Can we create a solution for the seller should be the only focus. And if you can, then it doesn't matter if the house is worth $1 million or 50,000.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're leaving money on the table if you're not equipped with both ends of the spectrum as a wholesaler. So we really work a lot here on lease options, lease purchasing, the assignments, and sometimes we talk about sandwiches and things like that. But you've done all those things, but you've taken this even farther, and you've gotten into doing multifamily property deals and also the storage units. Is that right? Development, storage unit development.
We have a team that does storage unit development and also does reconstruction of like darkened big box chains like Kmart and Sears, stuff like that.
Wow. Okay. Does anybody here in the audience? We like to take a break every now and then and just see if anybody here has any questions so far for Joe. Anything come to mind? Where are you at in the country right now, Joe?
I'm right outside of Philadelphia. I'm in South Jersey.
Okay. Wow. So we got a lot of people in the club here that are from that same part of the country. So that's
what part of South Jersey?
Haddonfield, right outside you, Cherry Hill. You local?
Yeah, I grew up in Mercer County.
Oh, cool. Yeah, you're not far.
Anybody else in here in the room?
Yeah, but I live in Pennsylvania now, though.
Okay. What part?
10 minutes outside of Coatesville.
Okay. Hey, we could do a little cigar and scotch meetup. We got enough locals. I'm always down for that.
Okay. No problem. No problem.
That's cool. David is in the room. He may not be able to chime in. I'm not sure, but he's from around there too. And Mag, he's from around there. Who else? There's a couple others I'm not thinking of, but
right.
Anyway. Right. Oh, you, Alan?
Yep. North Jersey, though, Bergen County.
There you go.
All right. My head recruiter's up there. I can't think of what town she's in, though. She's in, I would screw it up if I had guessed. You know, it's like a different state up there.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. That's
Bergen County.
I'm also in North Jersey, in Passaic County.
Awesome.
That's Crystal.
Look at that. What's up? That's wild. I had no idea we had so many people from that part of the country. That's cool.
The Northeast is strong, Justin. You don't mess around.
I know. And then we got a great audience from the West Coast, too. So, like, California is representing real strong. It's great. What's going on with everybody in the middle? You know?
I don't know, man. I got a strong contingent from like Ohio and the Midwest following. I don't know. It seems like there's a ton of investors from that area.
Did you say you were Navy CB?
I was.
Nice. I was Red Force, Air Force.
Okay. All right. I won't hold that against you, but I appreciate your service.
Right. You know, that's what I'm saying. All you water threaders.
Love
Yeah.
Joe, somebody is asking, and by the way, I didn't understand a lot of what you just said there, Victor, because I assume that's veteran talk, right?
Of the Seabees. So he was the Air Force version of what I did in the Navy.
Yeah, civil engineer,
okay.
builder. Yeah.
That's cool. Hey, thank you, fellas, and anybody else that served in the armed forces, any branch, doing anything. Appreciate you very much. Thank you for that. Joe, somebody here in the chat says, where can we get info on what you do?
Yeah, so there's two ways, folks. I mean, you can go to joeevangelisti.com. We can drop that in the notes. I don't usually say it out loud because nobody can spell my last name. And then from the coaching perspective, we usually just go at it's elevatewithjoe.com. So usually when I do these things, and I can go over what I call the 5 roads to victory, which is interesting because
yes, please do.
So the Seabees had what they call the 5 roads to victory in World War II, and that was like their map for how they planned on conquering in World War II. And so, I started to tell you that story about how I wanted to stop chasing things. And so I boiled it down to these five key items that you have to really conquer in order to create clarity and in order to stop chasing, right? In order to kind of get into alignment and make things start to become easier. And things start to become into alignment when we start to figure out the freedoms that we're chasing, Justin. And this is the thing that a lot of people don't think about. You know how they say that like 95% of people don't even write down their goals? Well, the 5% of people that do write down their goals don't even really consider what they're chasing when they do write down their goals, right? They might say, my goal is to make 100 grand this month or this year or this quarter, but for what purpose?
Yeah. What's that mean?
What does it mean? Like, what are you going to do with 100 grand? You make 100 grand this week, but if you don't know what you're going to do with it, what's the purpose? Right? So really, it's the 5 roads to victory that create the 5 freedoms. And so we start out with the 5 freedoms, and the 5 freedoms are financial freedom, which I don't have to go through and define these because they're pretty self-explanatory, but it's financial freedom. It's time freedom, right? Being able to control our own time. It's geographical freedom, right? The freedom of geography, or the freedom to be where we want at any given time. It's the freedom of purpose, which is one of the most important ones, right? What is your purpose? Why are you here? Why do you do what you do? Why do you get out of bed in the morning, right? Like a lot of people say, I love to sleep in. Well, that's actually, it's an interesting theory, and there's a lot of studies on this that, when you love what you do, you don't need an alarm clock. Your eyes wake up at early in the morning because you can't sleep. You're ready to go. So freedom of purpose is a very interesting freedom that a lot of people don't really spend a lot of time thinking about. And last but not least is freedom of relationships. And again, this is a tough one for a lot of folks because we spend a lot of time in relationships that don't serve us. They don't, and we don't serve them, right? They hold us down. They hold us back. They keep us from becoming our true self and experiencing our true abilities. So, who do we want to be and who do we want to be around? Freedom of relationships, right? Yeah. So the 5 roads that create these things basically go like this. The first road is what I call limiting beliefs.
Do you want to share screens? If you have something you want to share, that way you can, man.
There's nothing really to share. No, okay. I mean, this is, okay. It's easy note taking for you guys though. And of course I can go off, like I said, I'm
taking copious notes.
Good. Yeah. You guys can write this down. I mean, it's very simple. There's nothing advanced about this, but these are things that, they require continuous work, right? These are things that we should all be thinking about each day. Mm-hmm. But number 1, again, is limiting beliefs, right? And most people think it's too hard, right? Or, most people think they're too old, or they're not educated enough, or, I should be happy with what I have, right? And these things are limiting beliefs. These are stories that we tell ourselves, and we help rationalize our current state, right? Or we tell ourselves rational lies, like I said earlier, right? How many times have you had that epiphany in the shower, right? Or you're driving, I don't know, we all have our amazing moments at weird times, right? Maybe you have them when you're sleeping and you're like, man, wouldn't it be amazing if, and then your mind immediately switches to, but this, but that, but this, or I can't, or exactly. I shouldn't, and so we start to rationally lie to ourselves about why it's not possible. And Tony Robbins says, what the mind can conceive and believe, it will achieve. So we have to reset the mind's clock. We have to reset our mindset and the stories that we tell ourselves in order to reach that next level. And what that looks like is we have to define ourselves as one of 2 things, folks. We have to either become the victim or the victor. So in that story, when you tell yourselves, and I challenge you next time you have this happen, are you the victim or are you the victor? Right? Are you going to rationalize your way out of it, or are you going to be victorious? So that's number 1. Number 2 is we have to have a plan of action. So most people spend more time planning their next trip to Mexico, right, than they do what they want out of life, right? Forget business plan. How about life planning? What do you want your interaction to look like with your family, with your children, with your spouse, with your significant other? How do you want your weekends to play out?
Right.
How do you want the next 5 years of your life to play out? What do you want your purpose to become? What do you want your relationships to look like? Right? How do you want your business to suit your lifestyle? Right? When I go to Mexico, I know what plane I'm traveling on. I know what seat I'm sitting in. I know what hotel I'm going to. I know the view the room's going to have, if I'm going to be courtside or oceanside, right?
Wow.
I know how big a bed I'm going to sleep in, right? I know where I'm having dinner. I know my reservations.
Yeah.
God, my wife's got everything planned out. But for some reason, I don't know how I want to live my perfect day.
So true, man.
So important, folks. Number 3 is what I call systems for support or lack thereof. Okay? Because here's the truth. We can get rid of the limiting beliefs. We can reset our story, and we can create the perfect plan of attack. But if we don't have the right systems to support our new story, and if we don't have the right systems to support the new plan of action that we put in place, and we don't set up an outcome-supported system, right? Not task-oriented, but outcome-oriented, we have to build that roadmap to make sense of it. And then we have to have the systems in alignment. So I want you to ask yourself, what systems, what people, what processes, what things do I have right now today that I'm not utilizing to 100% of their capacity? How many of you have a CRM that's amazing that you don't log into?
Yeah.
How many of you have a Gmail system that has 10,000 unread emails in it, right? How many of you have amazing ability and we just don't execute every day? We don't utilize the systems that we have in front of us because we're chasing the shiny object.
Yeah.
Right? We're chasing the push button $1 million. We're chasing the cryptocurrency that's going to make us a billionaire. We're chasing the easy thing instead of working the systems that are right in front of us.
Yeah.
The systems will start to work when our mindset, our story, and our action plan are in alignment. Okay? Number 4, very easy, but not very easy, is we have to control the clock. What do the best sports teams in the world do? They learn that they have only a finite amount of time to win, right? When Tom Brady takes the field, like him or not, he knows exactly how long he has to win that game. Up or down, sideways, whatever the score is, whatever it is at halftime, he knows exactly how long he has to win that game. So he has to control the exact amount of time he has in that game. Well, guess what, folks? You guys, every one of us on this call has 168. That's how much time you have on the clock. You have 168 hours per week. And in that time, you have to sleep, you have to shower, you have to eat, right? You have to meditate, right? You have to kiss your kids in the morning. You have to do all these things, and then you have to be productive.
You have to be productive.
So those of you that are saying I work 100 hours a week, you're lying to yourself. Anyone who says that is probably putting in a good 20 hours of productivity, right?
That's so huge, man.
How
Thank
can we
you
be
for
productive?
sharing this stuff.
You got to control the clock. And guess what? Here's the thing. Oprah, Steve Jobs, Mark Cuban, Elon Musk, all have 168. What are they doing different? They're learning to control the clock different. They're putting in what I call gold time. That means when they put something on the calendar, they're moving the needle. For a lot of us, we put stuff on the calendar to fill the calendar to feel good about ourselves, not to move the needle.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
How many of you have completed a lengthy ass to-do list during the day, and then you get done and you get home at the end of the day and you're like, I didn't accomplish anything, right?
Yeah, none of those tasks. Yeah, none of those tasks moved me closer to a check.
I did a whole lot of nothing today.
Yeah.
I tell you guys, the busiest people, when somebody says I'm busy, that is code for I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Right? I'm lost. Busy people are lost. Most of the time, it's true. And for some of you, that's offensive, and I'm sorry, but it's the truth. I'm not here to be friends with you guys, unfortunately. I'm here to tell you the truth. The truth hurts sometimes, but it's true. So here's the 4 Ds that you need to know inside of the control the clock, right? Number 1, you got to do it. If it's a 5-minute task, stop putting it off. Do it. It's right in front of you. Do it. If somebody asks you something, stop delaying something. Make a decision. There's a great book. Actually, I have it right here. You guys, Dan Sullivan just wrote this book called Who Not How. He talks about decision fatigue. Probably one of the best things, and I read a lot of books, guys. This is probably one of the best books that I've read in 2 years. Decision fatigue. So many of us are carrying around a weighted vest. You guys ever heard the analogy that if I gave you a 5-pound bucket and I told you to hold this 5-pound bucket, right? You go, yeah, I could hold a 5-pound bucket, right? All right, cool. Hold it for an hour. All right, that'd be hard, right? I could hold it. I'm sure I could hold it for an hour. My hand would start to hurt, right?
I don't know.
But hold it for a day, right? It would start to feel like it weighed 1,000 pounds, right?
Oh, yeah.
This decision fatigue that's weighing on you guys is that 1,000-pound, 5-pound bucket. These little decisions that start to stack up. When someone says, hey, Justin, what do you want me to do about this? I don't know. I'll get back to you. Hey, Justin, what do you want me to do with this? I'll get back to you. I'll get back to you. Yeah, I'll get back to you. I'll get back to you. That's your email. That's your texts. That's your Facebook Messenger. All these decisions are starting to weigh on you, and you're carrying the load. So especially you business owners, you visionaries, you coaches, you leaders, learn to make decisions fast so you don't have to carry them. 99% of your decisions are easy, right? So number 1 is do. If you're asked of something and you can do it, just do it. It's 5 minutes, do it. Number 2 is delay doing it. But there's a rule with delay. Delay means it goes on my calendar. I don't delay it by just not doing it, right? I put it on my calendar. So I do it later. Now I don't have to have that decision fatigue because I'm not waiting to make the decision. I know I can make the decision tomorrow at 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. when it's on my calendar. Does that make you guys resonate with you? Does it make sense? It's not a, something I have to think about. Now I just think about it tomorrow. I'm going to delay it. Number 3, I'm going to delegate it. Right? Number 3, I'm going to delegate it. I'm going to give it to someone else to do. Now, for those of you with teams, there's a couple tricks here. When I delegate something, I must delegate it to someone who is responsible enough and capable. If I delegate to someone who is incapable, now I've just doubled my duty. It's a lot of D's, I know. But if I delegate to someone who's incapable, what's going to happen? They're going to come back to me and say, Joe, you asked me to do this. I don't know how. Now I got to spend the next 20 minutes teaching them, right? So when you delegate with a lot of details, right? Here's how I want you to do it. Take this step, turn it into a Word document, step it down, boom, 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 delegate it, right? Delegate it and make sure that person's capable. And last but not least, a lot of us don't do this. Dump it. How many decisions don't need to be made? How many people reach out to you for advice, or they want to pick your brain, or they want to grab a cup of coffee, right?
Right.
If it doesn't help you move the needle, dump it.
Yeah. It's good.
All right, number 5, guys. Execution and course correction with accountability. So now we got to do all these things that we just talked about, right? We're going to move the needle forward. We got to execute. So here's the problem. You guys have heard analysis paralysis. You can't build out all this amazing strategy, change your mindset, get your clock right, get your calendar right, get ready to go do it all, and then not take action. So we got to go execute on what we just created. But most importantly, we got to get ready to pivot. Because remember, when we start to go forward, shit's going to happen. We're going to hit potholes. We're going to have problems. That's life. And if we know ahead of time, we're going to get ready to course correct when those things happen. We're going to take charge of our schedule. We're going to pivot, right? We're not going to get stuck no matter what happens. We're going to keep driving forward because we know the results and the purpose of what we're after. We're using outcome-based goals, not task-based goals. So what happens is when I'm living off of a to-do list and I'm just going off of tasks, it's easy for me to get distracted. It's easy for me to stop executing. But when I'm outcome-based, goal-based, I'm going to course correct because I know what my goal is, right? I'm going to hit that pothole. I'm going to keep going around it. I'm going to go straight. I know where I'm going, know the finish line. And then I need ultimately accountability, right? Who are the people around me? Who's my mentor? Who's my coach? Who's the people? Who's my 5 people that I talk to all day long? Are they motivating me? Are they inspiring me? Are they pushing me? Are they making me a better person? Or are they saying to me stuff like, why are you doing that, man? Why are you trying so hard? What's the point? Right? Everyone in your family worked a 9 to 5. They did fine. Your Uncle Stan retired when he was 65. He's happy, right? Like, you want to be like that, or do you want to do this, right? So who are you surrounding yourself with? Are they holding you accountable? I pay multiple coaches to hold me accountable for different purposes, right? Some business,
Sure.
some personal, some physical, right?
Sure.
I want people that I know that I'm invested in to hold me accountable to my goals. So that's it, man. That's the 5 roads.
5 roads. There's so much in there that I would love to talk about.
Let's dig.
It's so good. That is it. I think that just you've nailed it. The process of accomplishing self-improvement, being who you want to be, and having the lifestyle that you want to have. So valuable. Let me open up the floor here. Everybody in the Zoom room, thank you for being here. I want to list off the names if I can get to them here. It is, of course, Joe, our guest. Thank you, sir, for being here today. Getting a lot out of this. Addie, Alan, Anthony, Bob, Chuck, Crystal, David, Jaime, James, Jemiah, Carl, Kenny, Kim, LaShonda, Mark, Nicholas, Rick, Sandra, Vernon, Victor, and we got a bunch of folks watching out there in on some platform somewhere. Thank you for watching, guys. We love you. Thank you for being here. I want to open up the floor here in the Zoom room for folks to interact and ask questions about anything, really. But if you have questions for Joe, let's ask Joe right now. Anybody? Questions?
Hey,
Yeah,
Joe.
good morning.
Okay. How about was it Alan first? Who was first?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Hey, Joe, thanks for sharing the 5 roads. You mentioned that you pay several people to take your accountability. I just want to know, how often are you meeting with these people? Is this a daily, monthly, weekly, or what have you?
Yeah, all of them are a little bit different. It's a great question, Alan. I have coaches that I talk to every week. I have some that I talk to once a month, and then I have some that I talk to once a quarter. That are like almost like board members that I meet up with once a quarter. So all of them are different for different purposes.
Cool, man. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Who was next? Was it Chuck?
Yeah, I got Kent Clothier does a thing about he does a 2-day or 3-day thing, and he talks about your perfect day.
Yeah.
And he says write down your perfect day. And when I did, it took 12 pages. And he says he does it kind of in the beginning, and then later on he says if you get in your business and you get that day where you can't get yourself organized, you can't figure out what to do that day, you're just kind of like burned out, pull out that perfect day and take something off that list of what you want to do and do it.
Yep.
And that'll help defog you, and you'll start to see momentum in your business like you wouldn't believe it. Start doing that. Could be anything as simple as taking your kids to the movies, but that perfect day thing it was amazing because I realized I dug deep in myself and thought, what do I really like to do? You know, and you think of the most important people in your life, and you think of the things of why you're doing this business. It's your why. So yeah, I like that idea.
Spot on, Chuck. And I'll tell you, first of all, Kent's a super smart guy. I talked to him quite a bit. And you're when you control the clock properly, you know, it's been snowing in the Northeast for a while, right? For those of you guys are up here. And you know, I'll give you guys some examples. Like last week, every week on my business calls, we have what's called a level 10 meeting. And that's really the only meeting that I get into for my businesses is the one meeting a week. I run my whole team, and we start the meeting off with what we call good news. And we do a business best and a personal best. And last week's personal best, one of my COOs was like, he took his kids sledding in the middle of the day, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing, right? Like when you can control this is a guy who runs a 7-figure business. Yeah. Right. And so when you can control your clock properly, then you can carve out 2 hours to go take your kids sledding, and you can still be a productive COO to a 7-figure business, right? The perfect day just means controlling it properly so you know you're getting what you need done and you're still accommodating those around you that are important. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, fantastic.
Every bit of it.
Vernon?
Something that's really kind of cool to do is send your kids off to school in the morning. You're having a crappy day, you go pick them up at school, go do something with them. Absolutely. I did that several times. I was in the Navy and I spent a lot of time away. So when I got back in, the kids would go off to school and I'd be home for the day and I'd say, yep, we'll have a day with the kids. And it was just part of the perfect day. So
absolutely, man. I love that. I appreciate your service.
Yeah.
I get my daughters up every day. It's part of my day. So,
sweet.
Yep, absolutely.
Vernon, were you next, sir?
You're muted.
No.
Okay. Are you there, Vernon? What was it? You?
I'm here.
Did you have something to say?
I wanted to ask a question.
Okay.
He said that he controls the clock. What did you ever work like a 40-hour job and then try to doing real estate full time? Did you ever have that kind of problem or that?
Yep. You're breaking up quite a bit there, Vernon, but I think I got the gist. Was how do you control the time or control the clock when you're on the clock, right? Is that I think that was the question.
So you're working a 9 to 5?
Correct. I'm here now.
Okay. All right. So there's a lot of ways you can do that. First of all, guys, if you're working a 40-hour work week, right, there's nights and weekends that you still control. So practicing that control while you're at your 9 to 5 is going to give you the skills and the life mindset to practice and control it when you're not at the 9 to 5, if that's your goal. Look, I mean, if you want to stay at a 9 to 5, that's fine too. Nobody's judging that. But you can control that clock after hours. One of the most impactful things I teach people when they start to use a calendar and control their life is literally putting on date night on your calendar, putting on family dinners on your calendar, putting on what you're doing on the weekends on your calendar, and then sharing that calendar with your significant other. It is entirely impactful. Like, in other words, I had one of my students share with me last week. He started using his calendar, shares it with his wife, and now his wife puts on her calendar, I'm going to yoga on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m., right? Now he knows that's his time with the kids, and he's purposely planning things to do with his daughters on Saturday mornings because the wife's in yoga. So now they've created this time for themselves where he says, normally Saturday mornings are just we're all sitting around watching cartoons and nothing's going on. Now we have this impactful use of that morning time, right? So sometimes it's just being about being proactive with your calendar, Vernon. It doesn't necessarily mean, you're controlling the whole 168. if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
Victor,
Thank you.
Victor Walker. He's one of
Yes.
our awesome experts here in the Real Estate Wholesalers Club.
Love it.
You got a question, sir?
Yes, sir. Thank you for letting me in. So, Joe, appreciate everything you're talking about, man. Especially the calendaring. Right now, I am reading. You can't see it. It's High Performance Habits. I'm sure you're familiar with Brendon Burchard.
Yep.
And I'm actually migrating over to his calendar system. Right.
Okay.
Are you familiar?
I've read that book 2 or 3 years ago. I never implemented the system, but go ahead and hit me with it.
Yeah, so he has a calendar system that is really effective. One of the things that I'm looking at in my life is like my mentoring relationships, right? Like I know how to like what I want to do in terms of having them hold me accountable, but in the mentor relationship, it's a give and take. Like right now, I'm with Mel Robbins, I'm with Brendon Burchard, I'm with Claude Diamond, and sometimes I don't know what it is that I really want and how to hold them accountable to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like easy for them to give me a menu and say, okay, well, this is this is what I do kind of thing, right? But when you're paying out this kind of money, you really want to know, how can I hold them accountable to me as well? Not like hold them over the fire, because obviously you hired them, right? So the relationship is that way. But there is something there where you have to kind of know what you want. And maybe you can kind of, shed some light on your thinking, like, okay, if I hire a mentor, how does that relationship really work and make it the most effective for me?
Yeah, no, I mean, you're bringing up some solid stuff, Victor, that a lot of people talk about when I bring on coaching students. So I can't speak to those guys. I don't know what they do as a product, but like
right.
when I take on a new client, we spend the first 6 to 8 weeks defining exactly what it is you want. I think that's the biggest challenge is when I can't teach you. I think I've stated it a few times, but unless you know the purpose and the result set of what it is you're trying to accomplish, nobody can hold you accountable to get there. Right. So,
yeah.
And it's so unique to every one of us, right? What you want is not what I want.
Right.
Where you want to go is not where I want to go. And that's okay. It's like the keeping up with the Joneses mentality is the most dangerous thing, because people will strive for what someone else has. And that's why they fall short. Yeah. Right. I want you to get what you want. And so I think what's missing there, and I'm just hearing it from what you just said, is they don't know what you want, right? So how can they hold you accountable to that piece, right?
Right. Yeah. So there's something about being clear about what you want before you go into the relationship that's key to the relationship, right?
It's so key. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to know. I mean, like I said, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
I mean, I tell people up front, like when you sign up for working with me, I mean, there's going to be some crying. There's going to be some screaming. That you're going to tell me things that you don't tell your wife. I mean, you got to get deep. You got to get deep to learn this stuff about people. And the reality of it is, on the surface, Victor, you might not know what you want until you get deep and figure that out. Right.
Yeah.
Some people don't have that realization until we're 4 or 5 weeks in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's that buyer's remorse that comes after you realize you just committed to thousands of dollars and you're not taking full advantage of it, and it's not moving you where you want to go. And I think at some point it gets back to us and understanding what it is that we really wanted out of this relationship. And even though you're paying, it's still up to you to be proactive in terms of what it is that you're trying to extract from that relationship.
Yeah.
So true. So true. And I think that, again, I don't know. I know the guys you're talking. I don't know anything about their programs, and I'm not saying anything.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of the coaching that goes on in this world right now is so surface level that it's just, here's my program. Let's talk about it. And that's what's missing in this world. It's getting really deep about what the client needs and understanding that. That's the tough part.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've run across that where I'm not getting the conversations are not being had such that, because it's easy to say to someone, what do you need from me? That's a bullshit question, right? Because I need you to help me find out what I need from you.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's certain exercises that really take you down that rabbit hole, and they're meant to be really difficult.
Yeah.
They have to be in order for you to figure that stuff out. And if you're not willing to go, I mean, this is totally, we're getting a sidebar here, but I mean, if you're not willing to do that work, you're not going to find out. I mean, it sounds like you are because what you're telling me, but the reality of it is some people aren't willing to get that uncomfortable. And some people are. And when you do, I mean, the world opens up.
Yeah. Hey, man, thanks so much, man. Appreciate you being here and sharing with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for that. Thanks for that question. It was a great one.
Yeah, for sure.
Anybody else with a question? Very good. Very good question, Victor. Thank you for asking that. I think the world is a more intimate place than it used to be. And I know that sounds strange. In a way, it's grown colder, but I think in other ways, we all now more so than before recognize that we need to be in good relationships with people where we can be open and honest and be held accountable and provide value in exchange for value and so on and so forth. You guys feel like the world's changed at all in that respect? And is that what you want? Is that what people want? That connection? I think so.
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Yeah.
One other thing, since nobody else was asking, there's always the dynamic of family, especially when it's broken, right? When there's issues in terms of your ability to relate or stuff that's gone on in the past, and you have since gone on to grow, become better, become different or whatever, but that dynamic is still there. What's your thinking, especially in the area of family, breakdowns and trying to correct that dynamic?
Are you asking me or Justin?
Yes, I am, Joe.
Yeah, so I think that family is an extremely important part in our culture and our society. But I spend a lot of time. So, like when I'm coaching with folks, people are very surprised that when I probably spend 60% of time talking about personal and 40% talking about business. Most people hire me for business, and they find out that they're messed up on their personal lives, and that's why their business is not successful. Right. So, you got a lot of young executives that might have young children and, they're having some difficulty with their spouse in some way, shape or form. And, they find when they start to balance their home life, their business life becomes infinitely more successful. And the reality of it is because they're not happy. And we feel like we're not happy in business, but what we realize is we're not grateful for what we have. And that shows up in business. So when we start to create, and I don't like the word balance, I don't think it's a fair word. You're never going to be 100% balanced. But when you start to show up in all areas of your life, and you start to put energy in all areas of your life, and especially the areas that are lacking, right? You start to find that when I put energy into how I lead my children, all of a sudden it shows up with how I lead my team. All of a sudden my team starts leading their children differently. All of a sudden the culture in my office starts to get better because that becomes the culture that I'm generating, right? And so these things, they have harmony. And when I become a person who's just fixated on becoming a revenue generator, the mind does funny things. I focus on money, money, money. And what happens is I'm not focusing on money. I'm focusing on the lack thereof. And therefore it becomes really difficult to generate money. So what I want to focus on is abundance and opportunity. And next thing you know, money is never an issue. You're not thinking about money. You're thinking about creation. You're thinking about opportunity. I think in money in terms of how many people can I pay 7 figures this year? How many people can I bring into my ecosystem that are going to create amazing families as a result of working with us, right? And next thing you know, the money is not a factor, right? Jim Rohn said something to I'm going to misquote him, but basically, the more value you create, the more you get paid, right? Stop focusing on how much you need to get paid and start focusing on the value you bring others. The opportunity will follow.
Yeah, that's huge.
Right. Another great question, Victor. But I mean, that's the truth, though. A lot of people are missing the personal ability to grow because they're so focused on making their business work. Yeah. And the reality of it is the business will follow when you become a better person.
So something just came to mind right there when
Yeah.
you said that, man. And you know, it's like it begins on where you stand, right? Like it's easy to have a conversation about, you know, a victim mentality, or, you know, what's wrong with everybody else, or you know, this is broken because of them, and I don't even give a f anymore, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, damn it, whatever, I'm just doing me or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But then there's this other place that you can stand, and I got this from what you said, is, you know, there's a place called leadership and creation.
Mhm.
Like, lead and create the environment that you're looking for, the relationship that you're looking for, and be willing to, you know, get bloodied in the process.
Yeah.
And have that be, you know, your mission, have that be your vision, have that be, you know, your goal, that you know, you're going to bring that kind of value. And I got it out of when you said creating these, you know, 7-figure earners in your business. You know, that's not an easy project. You know, that's, you're gonna, some people are gonna bleed on the way.
Absolutely.
You know, but you have to stand as the leader, and you have got to create not only the vision for them, but you also have to demonstrate to them that it's possible on a regular and continuous basis. Am I on track here?
I mean, you're explaining the definition of a visionary, right?
Yeah.
That is
Okay.
what a visionary does. So we talk about the 4 S's. We talk about
Yeah.
state, story, strategy, and standards, right?
Okay.
Your
Yes.
state is how you carry yourself, and what it is that you bring in your energy level, your physiology, your mindset, your language, your internal, right? Your story. What am I talking to myself about? Am I the victim or the victor, right?
Right.
How am I presenting myself each day? What is the vision I'm casting to my team, right? The strategy we just talked about, right? What's our plan of action? And then most importantly is my standards. How I do one thing is how I do everything, right?
Wow.
How am I
Yeah.
bringing myself to the table? Am I playing above the line? Am I showing people what it's like to be a leader? Am I acting the way I expect my people to act with me in accordance, right?
Mhm.
Am I showing up every day? You know, we're all allowed to have bad days. See, that's
Yeah.
the interesting thing. A lot of people will have a bad day or 2 or 3 or 4, and then they won't talk about it. Leaders talk about it because they know that everyone has a bad day. So I want to talk about a bad day because I want other people to understand that we're allowed to have it, and you're
Right.
not alone. And you
Right.
should have a bad one. You should bounce back, and you should have a better one next day.
Yeah, it's how you talk about the bad day, right? It's like you can be a victim to your bad day,
Correct.
or you can own your bad day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Right.
Man, you a bad man, bro.
Trying.
Lots of good stuff. Yeah.
Trying.
Any other questions from
I
folks?
have a few questions.
Yeah.
Okay. Addie?
Hey, good morning. Good morning, Joe.
Hi, good
Hi.
morning.
Morning. Yeah, so going back to the beginning of the introduction, you said you do single family, multi-family, storage units, and construction of places like Walmart, Kmart, and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering, like, I guess what made you transition from single family to all that, other investments? Number one. And number two, I do have a list of questions. So maybe we should just start with that first.
Yeah, well, I can tell you that real quick. I mean, so we started in 2007 doing single families. About 3 years ago, every year we renew our goals, right? And we at that point we had accomplished about 1,000 single family flips. And me and my COO looked at each other, my partner, were like, what's next year's goal? And I was really burnt out. I'm burnt out of the flips. We had 40 some employees at that point. We had done 80 some I think 88 flips that year. And we're like, what's the next level? Do we do 120? Do we do what do we do? And I was like, man, the scalability factor had almost decimated. Like it was almost at the point where I don't want 60 employees. I don't want, we're massive private money. And it's not that the size of the private money, it was the in and out of the private money, right? When you're doing 88 deals, you're doing 2 or 3 closings a week. And so, there'd be massive 6-figure swings each week. So I said, how do we scale this thing so that it's easier to contain and I can do it with a more effective team? And so I started researching self-storage, and I realized, look, I can do 10 self-storage deals a year. I can do 10 times the revenue with the same factor of private money. And I can do it with a team of 10 or 15 people. And so we really started going deep into the rabbit hole of research on the self-storage side. and it's been amazing. It's been an absolute amazing journey. Now it was a lot of pain to get out of the fix and flip market. We literally, I think we sell our last one like next week. In fact, we're building one like 2 blocks from my house. I take that back. That'll be our last one. But we've completely gotten out of the fix and flip business. I have a couple single family rentals left, but we've made the transition completely into self-storage. We've now purchased 3 self-storages. We have 4 more in the pipeline for this year. And they're just absolutely amazing opportunities. I mean, we'll make 10 times the amount of revenue, 10 times the amount of profit. And our investors make a lot more return on their investment with us, the ones that come along with us, because we're able to share in the equity, which I never did in single family. In single family, it's private money in, private money out. Here's your 10%. Have a nice day. Our investors get to ride along with us now and make money and equity, and they get tax benefits as a result. So that's a whole rabbit hole we can go down, but it's just a way better industry for us. It's a lot more fun, and they're just bigger deals, and they're easier to build, frankly. It's just concrete and steel. There's no picking out tile and paint and toilets. And, once we design the construction package of what we want our brand to look like, they're all going to look like that. So, those are the reasons.
So do you do that? Do you do that just in your city, or you do that virtually?
All over. We say the East Coast, but my partner was just in Texas and he picked up 2 sites this week. So I would say anything east of Texas we're doing right now.
Okay.
Cool.
So you're no longer doing multi-families? That's already, you're done with single families and multi-families.
I'm not ruling out multifamily. I think it's very saturated right now. I think it's tough. Now, when I say I'm not doing multifamily, we have a fund that we're arbitraging. I mean, I'm going to be in the multifamily space. I'm just not going to be physically developing multifamily. I'm sure we'll buy multifamily in the next couple of years. I'm not saying I'm not in it, but our focus is self-storage.
Okay, sounds great.
Great questions, Addie. Nicholas,
Hey, man.
you're up. What's going on, man? What's your question?
One question and then one kind of statement touching up with what Joe was talking about. One of my favorite books that I've ever read was Marcus Aurelius' Meditations. And one of the quotes that stuck with me throughout my life is, the happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. So
Yes.
if you're having a bad day, you're attracting a bad day. Try to do something to get you out of that mindset. There was a lot of great suggestions already in the Zoom room about from Chuck and from Joe about how to do different things and change your mindset. But I wanted to share that quote real quick because it hits me every time I say it. And then the other thing is not really it is a question. When you're talking about the storage units, Joe, is there a way that you would be able to come back and talk about that with us? Maybe kind of like share, because there's another guy in our investment group here in Texas, and I live in Austin, who's like talked about that, and I just kind of overheard, and I tried to catch him before he got out the door, and he was like, I don't know where he went, but yeah, he was talking about storage units and how he was getting out of his rentals, and he was just like, man, I'm making more money than I ever did. I'm like,
it's easily another hour long topic. And I don't know if I can plug another group, but we have like a free Facebook group that we do.
Dude.
There's a group called Our Road to 10 Million in self-storage. Our Road to 10 Million in self-storage.
Our Road to
10 million in self-storage.
And do I spell out 10 or is it 10?
I think it's TEN. Yeah.
Okay.
Our Road to 10 million.
10 million.
We just started it this year, but there's a couple hundred people in that group, and it's a good group. And like I said, it's free and it's all value, guys. I'm not trying to sell anything in there. Reality of it is, I'll tell you what we're trying to do is create JV partners. That's all we're trying to do. Teach you guys how to find deals so that you can JV with us. But yeah, I mean, it's, we put step by step, and there's trainings in there. We do our pitch decks in there. We do all that stuff.
That's cool. Yeah.
But yeah, man, I must say it on a daily basis, where my focus goes, my energy flows, which is pretty in alignment with that Marcus Aurelius quote. So it's
right.
Okay, so I guess we can reach out to you in that group, like
oh, absolutely. Yeah.
for any questions, whatever,
I'm nothing special. You can reach out to me anywhere. I talk to everybody.
Alan Bryan. What's up? What's up? What's your question, sir? For Joe?
Hey, man. Joe, thanks for staying with us. Real quick, man, how do you move the needle forward when sometimes that inner voice of doubt and fear sets in because I keep hitting potholes on the way, and you keep getting no's.
Yeah, it's honestly now it's a lot of training, brother. But I mean, that's that whole mindset piece is recalibrating your story, resetting your story and talking, retraining yourself for that inner voice. And the fact is, we all have it. Like it's, I don't care how good you are at that. They always said it. We call it the drunk monkey. Right? You got this drunk monkey inside your head that every time you take one step forward or you start to think of the positive or you start to think of the impact or you start to think about how big something could be, what's the first thing your brain does is it tells you rational lies, right? It's like, but, why would you do that? But should you? But could you? But why? But no one in your family's ever done that before, right? All these reasons why you shouldn't get there. And the reality of it is it's training. And it's time and it's process and it's practice. And it's knowing that when your brain does that, it's tricking yourself into telling yourself a positive story again. Because the reality of it is nobody talks to you as much as you. And this is trickery, but the reality of it is you get to control that voice. And I know it's not as simple as saying that, but the reality of it is it's practice. And when you start to control that voice, I mean, the world becomes a different animal. It just shifts into a different place.
Thanks, man. That's solid advice.
This is some weighty. Is that the right word?
Yeah, weighty? I don't mean to make it that weighty. I thought
no. I don't mean it in a bad way. I just mean like this has been something that people have needed to know and learn and develop from like the beginning of time, I think, right? So you're not alone if you feel like you need to get started on the mindset game or maybe up it. Joe, take a moment and tell us where we can go to get more information, buy a course from you, start pumping some of this knowledge into our brains, and where can we go? Can you sell us something here or point us in the right direction?
Tell you guys. I mean, the reality of it is if you guys are looking for coaching, you can go to elevatewithjoe.com. I always offer a free discovery call for you guys to talk about what you got going on and see if there's a way where we can create a fit. On the wholesaling side, I mean, for $1, I think you guys can get our Kindle book we just released last week. It's called Wholesaling. I literally break down my entire wholesale operation inside of a book for $1. So I think that's probably the best investment you guys can make in the future for the wholesaling side of business.
That's a big one, guys. If you didn't hear that, wholesaling. So it's like wholesale, except it's whole scale.
Yeah, it's 2 words. So I'll type it in here.
And check that out because I'm really interested. I'm going to go check it out myself.
Yeah, I break down that, like I said, our whole entire operation inside that book. And I mean, again, you guys can message me on Facebook. And I mean, we have all the coursework and stuff on there, but that's not our primary business. My business is being a business guy. So I want to give you guys the whatever thing is going to help you scale to the next level. It's not about just selling products. It's about where you're at right now and what level you're trying to get to.
Yeah, that's great. Appreciate you being here, Joe. There's no last questions. I'm not looking over anyone, am I? Okay, I don't want anyone to go away and say, well, everyone got to ask their questions except for me, Justin. I'll get him. You know what I mean? I don't want anybody doing that. Yeah, all right. If there's nobody, if that's you, just unmute and start talking. Joe, it's been great to see you, man. Thank you for being here today. I really appreciate your knowledge and your presence and everything that you've brought here. It's been very timely for us. It's also been very the topic's been right on target, and it hit home with everyone. So we'd like to have you come back someday. We don't want to wear you out or anything, but man, we really do like you.
Anytime, man. You got a great group, great questions, and I appreciate you guys. So
thank you very much.
Where do they go to get Wholescaler? What did you say?
Amazon. Yeah, it's Amazon. On Amazon.
Yep. Oh, yeah. So people are asking in the chat. So go to Amazon and get Wholescaler. Yep, that's it.
Scaling.
No, it's wholesaling.
Wholescaling.
Yep.
Sorry.
2 words. Wholesaling.
Yeah, 99 cents on Kindle, right?
Yeah, it's $1. I don't know of a better investment you guys can make for $1. I don't really want your money. Just go get the knowledge.
Nice.
Exactly. That sounds like it's costing somebody money somewhere anyway at $1,
Yeah,
right? Yeah. Hey, love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Everybody, we have a really nice group of folks here in the Zoom room. Thank you for being here, everyone. And if you're watching out there, and we have a good group of people watching us live, thank you for watching us. Thank you for participating. We do this every Saturday. But real quick before I go, Monday night, this following week here, coming up here just a few days, 2 days in fact, we have a special event going on at 8 p.m. Central Time. That's 9 p.m. on the East Coast. That's, what is that, 6 p.m. on the West Coast? Okay, Monday night. We're going to be doing a lot of really cool, spectacular type things on Monday night involving you. So come join us then, and let's have a meeting of the minds on Monday night. Also, we're going to have some Facebook ad training. Okay. So anyway, love you guys. Any last thing, Joe? I'll let you sign us off, Joe.
No, man, appreciate it. Great crowd. Thank you guys, and look forward to talking to a couple of you. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Go check it out over there. Go check Joe out. It's what's the website? joeevangelisti.com.
That's right.
Okay, go check him out. Go get the book Whole Scaling. Right? I said it right?
You got it right.
I'm a hillbilly and my tongue doesn't want to make those shapes.
That's all right.
Anyway, you guys have a great weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you again next week.
Thanks, Justin.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. You did a great job today, sir.